Hello to everyone and welcome to Energy Capital News. Today, I'm very happy to talk with Sofia Gomez Durham, Head of Shipping Americas with Equinor. Sofia will talk with us about Equinor's shipping activities in the Americas, but more importantly, she'll share with us her take on the importance of women in the energy sector, their challenges, and the actions companies can take to improve diversity in the workplace. Sofia, it's very nice to see you today. How are you?
Hi, I'm good, Anna. How are you today?
I'm doing myself great. Thank you for asking. So I'll start with our first question. So starting with Equinor's activities, Sofia, could you tell us more about Equinor's shipping activities in the Americas and its shipping fleet?
So I'm happy to share that today Equinor counts with over 150 vessels that provide various services worldwide, from transporting our equity barrels and our third-party barrels to our customers, to fetching and bringing equipment from and to our offshore facilities, and providing emergency standby services for our operations. Particularly in the Americas, we have a fleet of time charter vessels and spot vessels that we use to lift our equity barrels and also transport third-party barrels to all our customers across the world from North and South America.
And in this sense, from your work at Equinor, what's the importance of transparency and reporting decarbonization measures for shipping activities, mainly under Equinor's recent commitment to the Sea Cargo Charter?
Sure, Anna. As you know, Equinor is fully committed to contribute to the world's climate ambitions. We, as a company, have set ourselves very ambitious targets, specifically related to our Maritime Climate Ambitions project that we launched last year. In this project, we detailed targets for both 2030 and 2050. And of course, not only accounting for our emissions, but being transparent about them and reporting them is part of what's going to support this strategy to achieve these targets. In that sense, we have decided to become signatories of the Sea Cargo Charter initiative. We hope that by doing this, we align forces with creative and driven and influential industry partners to drive emissions reporting and together achieve a more sustainable shipping future.
In this regard, Sofia, and considering the increasing relevance of the energy transition, how is Equinor greening its shipping activities?
Well, as you know, there are many ways to achieve a goal, right? But I think it's clear that given the large number of vessels that are either performing operations or services for Equinor, having a more sustainable shipping fleet is going to be key to achieve our climate ambitions as a company and as an industry. In that sense, we have several parallel initiatives that we are working on, which include optimization of our sailing routes and also optimization of the utilization of our fleet. Fuel consumption is being evaluated on a per vessel basis and also on a voyage basis, as well as being trying to understand how can we incentivize different parties to optimize fuel consumption through contracts. We also are exploring different avenues to utilize greener fuels, such as LNG, LPG, and then of course, in the future, ammonia and biofuels. And also we have, at the moment, hybrid vessels that have batteries that are powered onshore. And that is a great contributing to savings in fuel consumption, hence emissions. So we're working at this in different angles, and we hope that a combination of these initiatives is what's going to ultimately drive the significant reduction in emissions that we're looking for.
Well, Sofia, this may sound a bit repetitive with the last question, but what are the possible tangible alternatives for fueling Equinor ships in cleaner ways?
Sure. I mean, it's not repetitive, right? Like there's not enough time to talk about climate ambitions and how to get there, right? So in terms of fuel alternatives, we are looking at renewing our shipping fleet to utilize dual fuel vessels. We're starting with LNG and LPG. And an example of that is the two new vessels that we launched last year, which are LNG driven. But we're also exploring other opportunities such as ammonia and biofuels. And as I said before as well, we have these hybrid vessels which use batteries to save some of the fuel consumption.
So, Sofia, getting into the women in energy topic, what do you think about the number of women in your workspace?
This is my favorite topic. So I'm not sure if you're familiar with McKinsey's study Women in the Workplace. They've been doing this for quite a few years. The 2020 study shows that we have made some progress. We've made some significant progress. If you look at the number of women in the workforce at the VP level and above, it has increased from about 23 to 28% between 2015 and 2020. And in the C-suite level is from 17 to 21%. So that is the good news. The bad news is that we're still lagging behind in representation from the ground level up. So if you look at the entry level positions across industries, again, that were evaluated in this McKinsey study, women at the entry level positions represent about 47% of the workforce. And if you look at ending up at 21% in the C-suite, clearly there is a loss in between. The majority of that loss happens at the time when employees are promoted to the first management level, where for every 100 men that are promoted, only 85 women are promoted. And that, if those numbers, of course, are much lower in minority women groups from different backgrounds, right? Our industry, unfortunately, is not doing so well. Only 22% of the oil and gas industry, or even more broadly, the energy industry is represented by women. If you look at in the technical side, only 11% of patents that are submitted related to the energy industry have a female in them. And we need to improve. I know the IEA is looking at projects on first understanding data of gender diversity and then putting out some suggestions on how our industry can improve on this front. I am proud to say, though, that in Equinor, we are doing much better than the broader McKinsey study, and definitely better than our industry overall. So just to give you an idea, in Equinor, we have 43% female representation at the business cluster level, leadership and above. So these are senior leaders. And that is up from 31% in 2015. So we were already better in 2015, and we are working towards getting even better. This is well above the industry average for these level positions in Europe, in our industry, which is about 14% as represented. You can look at all of these numbers in our ESG reporting side, in the public Equinor side, but we're very proud of that. It's been a difficult time, especially with COVID, as you can see from these numbers. So these numbers that I'm sharing are from early 2020. So this is not taking into account the impact that COVID has had on women representation in the workforce. If you think about before COVID, things were already hard, as many women still carried the majority of the workload for the household and the children. And we were doing this with the support that is provided by schools and daycares. Now, it so happens that last year, and even this year, 2021, still in many places, we do not have that support. And what McKinsey found actually was that about 1 in 4 women that are now in the workforce are contemplating either downgrading their careers or leaving the workforce completely because of these reasons. So I think it is a crucial time, not just in the energy industry, but in the world, to make an impact in diversity. And make some decisions that support participation in women in the workforce.
Exactly, Sofia. And from your perspective, what could companies do to increase female participation also in leadership positions? And what would be your recommendations in this regard?
So this is a bit along the lines as the emissions topic, right? There is no one simple solution. There's no one universal way to achieve diversity and women participation in the workforce, right? However, I can say that there are some basic things, and this is based on my experience and the experience of my peers, and also many conversations that I've had with women in the industry, where there seems to be like two levels, right? There is the most basic level that companies should, in my opinion, strive for, which is providing paid parental leave and providing flexible work schedules. And the reason for these two policies is, to me, very clear, but maybe not clear for other people, in the sense of parental leave. When you offer maternity leave first of all, when you don't offer any leave, you're forcing women to choose between their families and their careers, right? So that's the most basic level. But if you take it a step farther, if you offer maternity leave instead of parental leave, you are perpetuating stereotypes that indicate that women should be the responsibles for caregiving for the family. There are actually many studies around parental leave, especially fathers taking advantage of these policies, that support the fact that when fathers are given the time to take responsibility for the children, women return to work quicker, and they return to work in full disposition to take even more responsibility. So that one is key. On the second topic of flexible work, I think it's very important, and this is not just for parents, this is also for people that have aging parents, for example, to take care of, or other responsibilities, where when you offer these policies, people can deliver around the schedules that are imposed by other responsibilities, such as, for example, picking up your children from school. And the reason I talk about children is because I have children, so I can identify myself with that. But there may be other reasons, right? And this doesn't mean that you're not going to deliver on your job. This just means that maybe your job needs to be done at different times during the day, different places. So that's the basic level. And then once the company has achieved that threshold, I think it's about talking about inclusion, because it's not just having the numbers, it's about maintaining those numbers. And you maintain those numbers when the people that you have in these teams feel welcome, feel that their opinions are equally valued as the opinions of their colleagues. So the work there is a bit less, say, tangible. It's more about producing a culture of inclusion where everybody is valued for what they bring to the workplace, not for their physical or personal characteristics, if that makes sense.
Could you share with us, in a more personal basis, a mentorship experience with us that has impacted your professional career as a woman?
Yeah, of course. I've actually been very fortunate to have several people throughout my career taking the opportunity and taking the time of their day to mentor me through different stages. I think I could talk about an hour about these experiences, but I think the most valuable takeaway I've had from having mentors is to feel that I have somebody that I can discuss my professional challenges with, and that I can have a candid conversation about situations that happen at work. I think that is absolutely key for anyone, and not just women, is for anyone to progress in their career. Because one thing is the learning that you do from training or from activities, from exposure, But a completely different thing is learning from somebody that has been there and has done that. I've had mentors that were dual careers like I am, so we had some of the same personal challenges, and that actually was incredibly helpful in me learning how to navigate those challenges at the same time as I was progressing my career. I had mentors that had different family situations, but from them I learned different things, right? I learned leadership skills, I learned soft communication skills. Now I have mentors, because I have multiple now, that have helped me navigate this transition to a different part of the industry where I just took this leadership position last year, which is shipping. And there's a lot of content learning that needs to take place so I can perform at my best, and they're helping me through that.
So in this sense, what has been the relevance of work-life balance as a female professional in the energy sector?
Work-life balance is key, right? So when I started my career, I always took the most challenging assignments, and sometimes I was working 90-hour weeks, and that was okay because I just had me to take care of. Of course, that has changed as I've aged. I now have a family. We're a family of 4 or 5 if you count my puppy, and I have other responsibilities. I don't think that negatively affects what I deliver at work. If nothing else, it makes me more effective because I make the best use of every single minute I have, both in my job or with my kids. But maintaining that balance is key, right? Because there needs to be time for everything. And one thing I've learned to accept is that there may be some days where I finish my day and I didn't finish everything I needed to do at work, but I need to dedicate that time to my family, and I need to be okay with that. And then there are times where my family is requesting my time, but I have an important delivery at work that needs to take precedence. And in that moment, I make that decision to give my time to work, and I also need to be okay with that. So it's a very fine line to work with, and every day is a different day.
Exactly, Sofia. And finally, how could energy companies, in your perspective, empower their female workers even more?
Well, like I said, I think there's the first side of meeting this minimum threshold of policies that support gender diversity. And then after that, I think a lot comes with training. A lot comes with driving that inclusive behavior, and that is, in my opinion, best driven from the top down. So if you lead by example, by being inclusive of your female colleagues when you're in a senior leadership position, or your colleagues of any diverse background, right? Because diversity is not just about gender, right? There are many dimensions to diversity, and the idea is to build a workplace that is inclusive and accepting of everybody's opinions, so you can make a better whole than the sum of the parts. And I think after that, you can work on training and mentoring programs. Like I said, I've had very positive mentoring experience, both official and unofficial. And it's going to take time, right? But the first step is to have some minimum policies in place that support participation of women in the workforce, in the particular topic of women as diversity, right?
Well, Sofia, thank you very much for sharing these insights with us. It has been very interesting, and I'm sure as well that we need to raise this kind of conversations within companies, within the industry, and also in the entire world. So thank you very much. I don't know if you want to add something else regarding maybe your activities at Equinor, or to give your final take on this.
No, I actually thank you for the opportunity. I've had a lot of fun trying to think through these questions that you've asked, and to think through the written piece. So thank you very much for the opportunity, and I do hope to have more chance to meet with females like you, driven and smart, that are part of our industry in one way or another.
Thank you very much, Sofia. It has been a pleasure, and we also want to thank the people who are watching us. See you soon in another Energy Capital interview.